Hey, what's going on, all you MPL fans out there? Matty Brolic here, and I am back after somewhat of a long hiatus. Finals came up and everything like that, so I didn't get to upload all the playoff games, so I'm just going to do them all in one shot if you do want to catch them and see how our last season ended and just kind of get on a sort of notion of, how the next season's going to go. When you see certain coaches do well, I guess it gives you an idea of what coaches will be returning powers for the next season, which will be the MPL Season 4. This is the end of the MPL Season 3, and I will show every playoff match that went on here. This is the one that I believe I did record. I'm not 100% sure, but it is between Coach Richard Horizon and the Oakland Rosa Raiders versus Cheeseboy628 and the Phoenix Sunkerns. So, getting into it, the Rosa Raiders lead off with Donphan. Let me slow this down a little bit. And they go right for the Rapid Spin here in the Ferrothorn just to keep the rocks off because they don't want rocks up for this Talonflame. And Cheeseboy actually goes right for the Power Whip, which gets a critical hit, which that definitely would not have killed Donphan. Donphan's so bulky on the physical side. So now he goes into Jolteon, probably saying that he's got HP Fire. So Cheeseboy switches right into Porygon. And will he go for the HP Fire here? Let's see. He does go for the HP Fire. And that does absolutely nothing to the Porygon too. So here he goes for Volt Switch. He's not even choice, so that wouldn't even have KO'd the Ferrothorn if he wanted to get his rocks up there. But either way, I guess it's good to play safe, because if it was Specs, then maybe it would have KO'd. So here the Porygon 2 goes for a Thunder Wave, which was a good prediction because if Jolteon stayed in, he gets the Volt Absorb. Wouldn't have touched him. So here the Absol comes in on the Togekiss. Interesting matchup because Absol can't really hurt the Togekiss too much. And if Togekiss has a Fairy move, then it might be able to knock him out. But he goes right for the Defog actually, and he gets his rocks off, which those rocks will be gone for the rest of the game, which was good for him. But now he's got a +2 Mega Absol here, which is a big threat, and he goes right for Stone Edge, knocking out the Togekiss. But here comes the Medicham. Medicham is so strong that Fake Outs and BPs will destroy this Absol here. So he goes right for the Fake Out as Sableye comes in, and now Sableye can get off a priority Will-O-Wisp, which nothing on his team really wants to get burned here. So, but instead he actually doubles, which is interesting. He goes right into Florges, maybe predicting the Thundurus or the Porygon to come in. Even Manaphy, something that could take probably Manaphy, something that could take special attacks well. But here, Rich makes a very good prediction going into Absol on the Ferrothorn, bouncing back the Stealth Rocks, and then goes right for a knockoff, doing good damage, but unfortunately gets taken out by the Ferrothorn's Gyro Ball. So that Mega Absol is no longer going to be a threat because it is not around anymore. So he goes into Talonflame, goes right for the U-turn here, revealing that he may be banded or something like that, as the Ferro goes right for the knockoff. And I don't know if a Moonblast would be able to knock out Ferrothorn from here. So, just in case he wants to go for his rocks, Rich goes right into Talonflame here. And just fires off a Brave Bird. He's probably going to leave his Talonflame in here if he is banded, because he's not really going to get chances to switch in and do much. But the thing is, he might not want to stay in here because Porygon 2 can take these and recover off, even if he is... I was wrong about that. Porygon 2 cannot take a banded Brave Bird from 50%. So that's pretty impressive. I didn't realize Talonflame was that strong. This has got to be Adamant Band for sure. 60% to Thundurus. That's pretty impressive. So Thundurus goes for the HP Ice and does knock out the Talonflame here. So he's a leftover Thundurus, perhaps a Nasty Plot, not sure. And he's definitely offensive though, by the way he took that hit. So here the Jolteon comes in, goes right for the Volt Switch, knocks out the Thundurus, and this one is coming down to the wire right now. So here comes the Florges, and I'm assuming Medicham is going to come in. And right now Cheeseboy is going to have to make a play to play around the Sableye. He actually goes right for the Poison Jab, which is interesting. Perhaps... I think that Rich probably expected an Ice Punch or a Thunder Punch or something else that Mega Medicham would normally run to for general good coverage. He's not going to go for high jump kickers and headbutt because the Sableye is immune to both. And I guess it was pretty obvious that he would go for another move. And if he went for Bullet Punch, it probably could have lived it. But he actually had the Poison Jab, which is pretty interesting, and it knocks the Medicham right out. Knocks the Florges right out. So now Cheeseboy is back in this game. And here he's going to go into Manaphy for sure, because there's no reason to leave this thing in on that when he does have a Manaphy in the back. But Rich makes a good play and goes for the Toxic, knowing that he probably wouldn't stay in with Medicham there. So here he switches out, going into his Jolteon, because this could be an AV Jolteon. I'm not sure of the set. That's definitely AV Jolteon. And now Jolteon can just fire off a Thunderbolt and do a lot of damage. So here, Cheeseboy goes into Medicham, because Fake Out plus BP probably can knock out this Jolteon. Even Fake Out alone might be able to knock him out. That Thunderbolt does a lot. That did a lot. So let's see, does Cheeseboy make a good play here to bring himself back in this? Yes, he does. He doubles back into the Manaphy as Rich goes into his Sableye here. And now Jolteon cannot switch into a Scald after Stealth Rocks. So he actually goes right for the Tail Glow. No fear of the Jolteon, because if he can get this tail go up, the Sableye gets paralyzed, unfortunately, but I'm not sure that would have mattered. Because I don't think he would be able to do that much damage to the Sableye, so, or to the Manaphy, to the point where he'd be able to knock him out or something like that. So here he's trying to stall him out desperately, but it's not going to work. He just goes for another recover, and he goes down to that. So here the Jolteon will be able to pick up the knockout here, but the Medicham will be able to finish off the game with the fake out. So that was a really good play on Cheese Boy, saving his entire season by making a good series of doubles. Rich played a hell of a game too. These guys really stepped it up for this game and both brought their A games. I didn't know who was going to win the entire time. I did know the eventual outcome, but watching this game right now made me at some points think to myself, how is Cheese going to even bring this back? So that was a great game, really good game. And congratulations to Rich for making the playoffs and having a great season. So now we'll move on to the next preliminary playoff round game. And it is between both Togavor of the Portland Timbers and Dallas Boy of the San Antonio Swamperts. Both guys that I played in exhibition games, and they are two fantastic battlers. So you know it's going to be a good game here. Now, the Swamperts lead with their Entei as Togavor leads with his Electros. And he goes right into a Azumarill here. I guess not fearing a burn from the Sacred Fire. That's definitely thick fat Azumarill. 100% thick fat Azumarill. There's no way. So he's probably a defensive thick fat one with Scald and Toxic and things like that. So we'll see what he goes for here. He goes for Whirlpool, so he's that trapping set, which is pretty neat set. It's not too common, but it is pretty effective at what it does if you don't see it coming. So good, interesting move on Toge's part, but he can't do much to the Cloyster here. So the Cloyster goes right for the Rock Blast, knowing that Azumarill doesn't have reliable recovery. He probably has Rest, but just to get some damage off on something, he goes right for the Rock Blast. Hippowdon's not really a switch into this thing because he does have Icicle Spear. So here the Electros goes for the Volt Switch, and Cresselia takes it really nicely as the Portland Timbers go into their Kyurem here. And I'm going to imagine that this Kyurem is really offensive because maybe not. Maybe it's a bulky Toxic set, which I wouldn't have expected. So that was a good play on Toge's part. I was thinking maybe it was like Specs or something because Cresselia might not be able to eat up Specs Ice Beams and whatnot. But, I mean, it's really especially bulky. But who knows if he's running Max Spadef or whatnot. So here goes into his Hippowdon. And he's probably going to set up some rocks here. There's not much stopping him. Cresselia definitely can't stop him. And, yeah, there's really no reason not to set up rocks here. So I would imagine he's going to go right for the rocks as Cloyster comes in. And the question here is whether he's going to spin or he's just going to go right for... He goes right for the Toxic. As Hippowdon goes for a Toxic of his own. Good play, because if Cloyster just wanted to get a free spin, it wouldn't have been free. Cloyster would have gotten poisoned, and Hippowdon would be able to wear down the Cloyster more and more as the match would go on. Eventually being able to keep up the rocks, which would be pretty nice because he's got a Torn, he's got an Entei, and just things that don't want to switch into rocks all the time. Oh, Cloyster too. So the Electros comes in here and takes tons of damage from the Icicle Spear, and now it probably will just be sacked here because it's really not going to be able to do much. It doesn't outspeed anything and has no form of recovery. It's probably an Assault Vest set or like Expert Belt or something like that, but I'm not exactly sure. So here he goes into the Azumarill. The Azumarill's defensive, so it could take hits from this Cloyster really easily, especially because it's probably not Shell Smash. We've seen the Icicle Spear and the Rock Blast, meaning that he's probably got, and he's got the Toxic too, so he's probably got the Rapid Spin in his last slot. So here, the Azumarill does reveal the rest here, which, you know, I'm not too surprised about, being that it is a thick, fat Toxic. Well, I don't know if that's Toxic. It's got this Whirlpool. So it's going to be Sleep Talk, Whirlpool, and what's his other move, I wonder? Did it have Toxic? I can't remember. So here, the Tornadus goes right for the Taunt on the Hippowdon, which was interesting play. Now Hippo can't get a Toxic off on this thing, but he gets to Confuse anyway, and Hippowdon hits himself with Confusion. So he doesn't have a switch into this Torn right now. So I'm not exactly sure what he's going to want to do here. He goes into his Kyurem here, which actually he goes for the Grass Knot. So that ends up working out for him there, because now he could almost definitely take a Hurricane and go for a Roost or something like that. So here, Tornadus goes right for the U-turn, as he's probably going to go for a Roost here as the Empoleon comes in. And I wonder if this thing's going to defog. No, he goes right for the Ice Beam and gets the Freeze. Ooh, that's pretty unfortunate, because unless he's got Earth Power, then this Empoleon really walls the Kyurem. And he is a Sub-Kyurem. He actually... oh, he's got Scald. So he... what am I saying? He's got Scald, so he could just thaw first turn. So now he goes for the Earth Power, and that's actually a Shaka Empoleon. So he takes that really nicely. And I I wonder if this Kyurem has Roost. I don't know. Oh, the Earth Power takes him out here anyway. He's got the Sub. He's got the Ice Beam, Earth Power. I don't think I saw him go for another move, so he might have Roost in his last slot. That's usually what I would run if I was going to run this type of set. And here comes the Torn. Maybe he's predicting a double, and he actually goes for the Earth Power, so maybe he's running a lot of speed on this thing, or predicted Entei to go for a different move. And here Torn goes for the Hurricane, misses the Kyurem, and Kyurem goes for Toxic. So he actually doesn't have Roost. No recovery on this set with Substitute, which is interesting. I know he has leftovers, but he also has a Sandstream Hippowdon on his team, so that's kind of interesting. So here the Torn goes for the Hurricane and shows that that last one did matter because this one knocked him out. So here comes the Latias as takes the U-turn pretty nicely. And here's, I guess, kind of free to just fire off an attack. And he actually goes for the Calm Mind here. Calm Mind Latias is a huge threat because right now this Cloyster's not going to be able to hit it. He could just knock him out before he gets hit. He goes right for the Stored Power. So this is very dangerous because he does not have a Dark type. And after a few Stored Power boosts, this thing could just bust an entire hole through his team. So here he goes for the sub, as Cresselia goes for Calm Mind as well. But Latias is probably going to be able to win this battle because of Stored Power, and he's poisoned. So Latias is going to keep boosting here. And this Cresselia does have a Moonblast, but Latias is so bulky and Cress is pretty weak. So that Moonblast does nothing, as Latias goes for another Calm Mind here. And it doesn't look too good for the San Antonio Swamperts at this point because Sub-Roost, Calm Mind, Latias without a Dark type to, or even really a Psychic resist at this point. I mean, Cresselia resists the Psychic, but Cresselia is on a timer and he's about to go down. So this Latias is probably going to clean up the game. So we could just skip forward a couple turns, as you can see. Just clean Okos that Rhyperior. There's nothing he can really do here except for Confuse, which he does get the Confusion, and the Confusion hacks. So let's see, will the San Antonio Swampers be able to bring this one back, actually? Goes for the U-turn, does a decent amount of damage, and here comes the Entei. Maybe he's got extreme speed to pressure him or something like that. And Latias' Confusion ends, and the Store Power goes off. So Entei goes down, and I would imagine the Tornadus will not get as lucky this time around, and Latias will be able to just knock him out with the Store Power. He misses the Hurricane, so he was not as lucky like I predicted, and the Store Power knocks him out. So really interesting teams on both sides. Togue played it exceptionally well, and this Store Power Latias really had a great matchup against the Swamperts. If I would have known this was the set before the game started, I would have said there's not much Dallas Boy could do to stop that. But Dallas Boy did play well, had a fantastic season, won the division. He won his division, so shout outs to Dallas for that. I know both of these guys have amazing teams this year, and going to be really, really scary to... Well, I played them in exhibitions, and I don't play them during the regular season, so hopefully I won't have to run into these guys because they have really, really frightening teams, and I'm expecting them to both do really well this season. So let's see how Togue does in the rest of the playoffs here. So now we got Cheese Boy and the Phoenix Suncurrents move on to face Jolt and the Toka Minorities. Jolt won his conference, so he got a bye, as Cheese Boy won his last playoff game, so he got to play Jolt here. And I'm pretty sure that they played twice during the season, and Cheese Boy beat him twice. So this is Jolt's chance to try to get some revenge. So here he leads with Dragonite, as Cheese Boy leads with Bisharp to get those Stealth Rocks. He likes to run Sash Bisharp, so let's see if that's what he's running. Dragonite goes for the superpower, and he is Sash Bisharp as he usually is. So we'll see if Dragonite has the extreme speed here. It looks like he does not, and the Bisharp does outspeed him there. He's actually a Yachi Dragonite, and testing with Jolt, this actually was a inner focus Dragonite, because he was expecting the Mega Medicham lead, so he could actually not flinch from the fake out and just one-hit KO the Mega Medicham since it destroys the rest of his team. So here comes Clefable, and he likes to run unaware a lot of his sets. So he goes right for the Zen Headbutt here, as Clefable goes right for the Moonblast. One of his only ways of getting damage on this thing is just taking tons from, with Clefable, so that's unfortunate for him there. And Cheese Boy goes right for the Bull Punch, not to risk the Zen Headbutt miss. Here comes Terrakion, and Jolt's team is already somewhat in shambles. So here he goes right for the Aerial Ace, and that does nothing to this Togekiss. I would have just gone for Stone Edge because he didn't lose much from it. Actually, no, never mind. It knocks out the Togekiss. From there, I don't know why I was thinking it might not. So here he goes for the X-Scissor on the Gothitelle, as Gothitelle goes for the Psychic, but it turns out that his Terrakion actually has a Psychic Resist Berry, so he's able to knock out the Gothitelle, and all of a sudden, it is 4-3 in Jolt's favor. So will Jolt be able to bring this back? I am not sure. So here the Scolipede comes in. Maybe it's offensive, because No, he goes right for the Protect. So that could still mean he's offensive. That could also mean that he's like a Baton Pass variant too. So here, let's see what he does. Goes right for the Mega Horn. He is definitely offensive. That does a ton to Mega Venusaur, as Mega Venusaur misses the Sleep Powder. That's unfortunate. Very unfortunate, because this Scolipede puts in so much work. If it hits this Mega Horn here, then I don't really know what's stopping it. I mean, Rotom Heat can take a hit, but it takes a lot from Poison Jab. Porygon 2 gets O-Code. Terrakian's almost dead already. So here he goes into Rotom Heat. He's either going to go into Porygon 2 or just go right for the Poison Jab. But he does go into Porygon 2. I guess didn't lose too much from that, because Scolipede could just protect him with Terrakion or PZ and boost his speed and then be able to revenge them later. So here, Porygon, the Rotom goes for the Reflect here. Then gets frozen on the Tri-Attack. So Cheese Boy is definitely getting some nice luck here. That's allowing him to win this game. Here, the Rotom does thaw out, though, and goes for the Light Screen. So he gets his Light Screen up, allowing him to live this next move from the Porygon 2. But Porygon's probably going to revenge him this turn. No. Goes for the Thunderbolt, wasting some turns of screens, which is smart, as Jolt actually goes into his Terrakion, maybe thinking he'd be able to take either a Tri-Attack or a Thunderbolt with the screen up, but he does not. That would have been a very good play if that worked out for him, but it did not, because Cheese Boy made the right play. He was stalling out screens by going for Thunderbolt and not giving Terrakion a free switch. So that was a good play on Cheese Boy's part. So now he goes for the nasty plot on the Porygon, and if he was agility as well, he probably would have had a chance to win this, because he at least would have been able to take one fake. Actually, no, fake out plus BP probably would knock out from here. So that's not true. I lied. He knocks out the Porygon 2, and there's not much he can do now, because this Mega Medicham just cleans up. He goes back into his Rotom Heat, and just goes down to the rocks, and there's nothing he can really do at this point. So that was both players played pretty well, and they brought pretty good teams and prepared well, but it definitely was unfortunate the way Jolt got hacked, because you know, I don't want to say he outplayed, but I think he outprepared somewhat, because he did not have a good matchup against Cheese Boy's team, and that showed how, he lost 2 games in the regular season to Cheese Boy, just getting like obliterated by things like Medicham and Gothitelle and whatnot. So the way Jolt prepared really did come through for the most part, but he did get kind of unlucky with the Sleep Powder miss. The freeze was pretty unlucky too, just because, it's a freeze. They shouldn't happen that often, and it did waste a turn from him getting some screens up. So that definitely came into play somewhat, but the Sleep Powder miss was definitely big. But it could have still gone either way. Definitely, Cheese Boy definitely still could have won this game if he played his cards right after that, but the Sleep Powder miss certainly mattered. I think it did affect the outcome in one way or another. So congratulations to Jolt and the Toronto Star Raptors, though, because he had a fantastic season. Winning your conference is a huge deal, and his team this year looks really fat and scary, and I do play him during the regular season, so I'm not looking forward to that, because it's going to be really tough. Cheese Boy as well, I'm getting to play, and Cheese Boy's moving on to the championship here. Starting from the preliminary rounds of the playoffs, moving all the way to the championship is pretty awesome, and shout outs to Jolt for an amazing season. So here we will go on to the other semifinals, which was Trev the King, who was the MVP of the league with a 9-1 record. He is the coach of the Atlanta Braviaries versus Togovar, who won against Dallas in the last game, and the San Antonio Swampers. So Trev had a really scary team with monsters like Kyurem Black, Sylveon, Mega Blastoise, which is a surprisingly good pick in this format because its coverage is amazing, has very good bulk, and can dish out hits as well as it takes them, as well as Rapid Spin, which is great utility. So Landorus T, Serperior, look at all these monsters. Heliolisk is the only one that's like not a straight up, destroyer in this type of format or Pokemon in general, but could be really useful. So here, Trev leads right with his Kyurem Black, as Toad leads with his Infernape. Goes right for the Flamethrower here, as he stays in, goes right for the Earth Power, KOing the Infernape right away. Perhaps he was Choppleberry, and that's why he stayed in so comfortably, but here, Togevar makes a nice play, doubling into his Azumarill here, but unfortunately gets a crit and the miss. Ooh, that is rough. That is really rough. This Sylveon must be... I'm thinking that this is a Salt Vest Azumarill or something like that, and this might be a Spec Sylveon, or just an offensive one, because he must be running a lot of speed, because he... Well, Sylveon... No, that's not true. Sylveon does naturally outspeed Azumarill, so if he's a really bulky Azumarill, like Assault Vest or something like that, or even if he's not Assault Vest. Well, I think he is Assault Vest, though. Then, you know, he does not naturally outspeed Sylveon, and Assault Vest variants can't really afford to run too much speed, so that does make sense. So that was really, really rough, because he missed the play rough, too. And this is not Spec Sylveon. Okay, so that's interesting. So I don't think that's Assault Vest Azumarill either. So here it goes for the Toxic on the Blastoise and misses the Toxic. So Togevoir is like at the end of his rope right now. This is just like you know, Trev's team is already so good, and Trev's already such a good player that the fact that he is you know, getting this unlucky here just really sealed the deal. So poor Toge, he you know, did prepare well and did play just fine in this game, but unfortunately it's just getting here gets confused with the word. Plus this is like almost like a joke. So well, he does break out of the confusion there, which is nice for him at least. But here you see some words, you won't really be able to see them, but there's words being exchanged between the two because you know, Trev doesn't want this. He doesn't want to win like this, and you know, takes away from the game. And Toge's the one on the other end of it. So this is kind of unfortunate, but this is Pokemon, guys. You know, it's as much as we love it, and these types of games are really, really fun. It's different from Smogon. At the same time, hacks still exists, and these things will happen. So we hope they happen as least as possible in this upcoming season. But you know that hacks is going to exist, and something is going to happen. So unfortunate for Toge, but the Portland Timbers did have a fantastic season. So shout outs to him. His team is even scarier this year, in my opinion, and I expect him to do really, really well as Trev. You could always expect the best from him. So congrats to Trev for winning, and we will see him in the finals game. I could just speed this up. You know that he's just going to be able to win here. So now it is Cheeseboy and the Phoenix Suncurrents versus Trev the King and the Atlanta Braviaries. So we will get right into this match as the Bisharp leads again, as Trev does a very good job leading with his Mega Blastoise, knowing that he likes to lead with the Sash Bisharp. He goes right for the Aura Sphere as Cheeseboy makes a good play going into his Latios, drops a Draco, and that does a really nice amount. That is not a Life Orb Latios though for sure, because, oh man, that sucks because Trev goes for the Ice Beam and freezes the Latios here, which it's just kind of unfortunate because if he wanted to save the Latios, he could have, or he could have just gotten some more damage off on the Blastoise. So that, you know, damage is damage and hacks is hacks, so that freeze is definitely unfortunate. So Trev getting some luck in these last few games, goes for the Scald here, knocks out the Latios. Here comes the Gothitelle and actually reveals the Frisk. Did he like mean to have Frisk on there? Did he mean to have Frisk on there? And did Trev notice? That's interesting. I wonder if Trev noticed that, because it's not like he has great switch-ins to Gothitelle, but like Victini could switch in, Kyurem could switch in somewhat. I mean, not to like Spec Psychic, but Victini could totally switch in. The Blade could switch in because a lot of them don't run Shadow Ball. I don't know if Trev noticed that that was a Frisk Gothitelle. Let's go back. Let's go. Hold on. So this Gothitelle comes in after the Scald, and it said he spotted the Blastoise Knight Frisk. And no one said anything about it. Yeah, no one said anything about that. And he just stays in and lets him go down to Energy Ball. So I think that he did not even realize. So that's pretty interesting. So here, he switches out his Gothitelle and goes right into the Scolipede. But Trev does miss the Leaf Storm, so a little bit of hacks right back, which is nice. So here, well, this is nice because it kind of evens the score a little bit. And Cheeseboy makes a very nice play going for HP Ice on the Landorus T. So now another Ice HP Ice does put him in range, but he does expect the Blade to come in and goes into Bisharp. Very, very good play. Goes for knockoff. Knocks off the Eviolite, but the Blade is able to live it. And here well, I mean, the Blade goes for the Sacred Sword, knocking out the Bisharp, or knocking him down to his Sash, as Bisharp is able to go for the Sucker Punch on the next turn, preventing a Shadow Sneak KO, and knocking out the Blade. So here he gets some last-ditch damage on the Superior with the Sucker Punch, and puts Superior probably in range of like a Fake Out and a BP from Medicham. So here Medicham goes for the Fake Out, and this is probably a roll between the Fake Out and the BP. So here goes for the BP, and he does get it. So they're both in decent positions here, but here goes for the High Jump Kick and misses. So that's unfortunate just because High Jump Kick does over half to Victini for sure. So that would probably allow Scolipede to help clean it up later. But I'm not sure like how much that mattered. Also, the thing is, if that wasn't Specs, then he probably would have been able to live a blue flare. But if he was Specs, there's no way he was living it. So here he goes into Porygon 2. Let's see how much this. He doesn't even stay in. So he goes into Lando. on the Porygon, as Porygon actually goes for Thunder Wave. So good play on Trev's part. Here he goes right for the knockoff, knocks off the Eviolite, and now Porygon is not nearly as threatening and won't be able to wall cure him anymore, and probably not Victini either. So here he goes right into Gothitelle, and Gothitelle will probably get outsped by this Landorus, and it does. It just gets knocked off right there. So here he goes into Scolipede, and it's kind of over at this point. He goes right for the HP Ice, knocks out the Landorus, and I don't even think like a Life Orb Earthquake would be able to knock out Victini, but and it does not. So it came pretty close, but it does not knock him out. And can Porygon 2 bring this back? I mean, Porygon 2 might still be able to, well, especially offensive cure him, but I don't think it's going to take this. No, this is actually an E-Belt Victini or something like that. He's able to change moves, and Focus Blast was still able to kill Porygon 2 from there, who is really bulky regardless of, not having Eviolite. So that was a pretty good championship match. Unfortunately, there was a good amount of hacks in there. I'm not sure if that made all the difference, but both players brought some really cool teams and made some really good plays. Congratulations to Trev the King and the Atlanta Braviaries for having a nearly perfect season, going 9-1, losing. Well, it was really amazing that they lost the first game against the Toronto Staraptors and Jolt. They lost the first game, and that was the game of the week. I remember it like it was yesterday, and Trev came all the way back, went 9-1, or went 9-0 in the regular season after that, and then went 2-0 in the playoffs. So won 11 straight games after that, which is really, really amazing. So good luck to both these coaches in the next season, which is the season 4, which is starting this week. And congratulations to both on an amazing season, and Trev, our NPL champion. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please check out all these coaches and check out the rest of the NPL channel, because we have some serious competition in this next upcoming season, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you guys definitely check that out, because it will be exciting. The competition will be really solid, and spoiler alert, some of the games that have happened have been really interesting and fun to watch. So I hope you guys enjoy as much as we enjoy watching these games. And that's about it. So I'm going to get the heck out of here. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one. Later.